I came home and immediately knew something was wrong. 4 HOA guards were standing in my driveway around my lock safe. Karen pointed at it like she owned the thing. She had no idea whose house she had just invaded. I asked them one simple question. Who authorized this? Karen immediately stepped forward and claimed the safe belonged to the HOA. The guards looked confident, but I noticed something they didn't. Every one of them was standing on property they had no right to enter. Karen shoved a document in my face and called it an HOA authorization. She said they had permission to remove my property. I studied the paper for only a few seconds. Something about that authorization looked very familiar and very wrong. Karen demanded that I step aside or face consequences. Instead, I reached into my jacket and showed her my badge. The guards suddenly stopped moving. Because I wasn't just a homeowner. I was a detective assigned to their case. The mood changed instantly when the guards saw my badge. One of them asked Karen if she knew who I was. She insisted I was bluffing. Then I told them exactly why I had been watching their operation for weeks. I opened my evidence folder right there in the driveway. Inside were photographs of HOA guards entering private properties. There were reports, witness statements, and security footage. And their attempt to take my safe had just added another piece of evidence. Karen finally realized this was a routine HOA dispute. I had been investigating complaints against their security team. The same men standing in my driveway appeared in multiple reports. Now they had practically delivered themselves into my investigation. I ordered the guards to step away from my safe. Karen screamed that they were following HOA authority. I told her HOA rules don't override private property rights. Then I gave the guards one final chance to leave peacefully. For the first time, nobody listened to Karen. The guards backed away from my safe and lowered their heads. The neighbors started recording everything. Karen's carefully controlled neighborhood operation was falling apart in front of everyone. I secured my safe and looked directly at Karen. This isn't over, I told her. She thought she was taking something from an ordinary homeowner. She had no idea the next knock on her door would come from investigators. That night, I brought every piece of evidence back to my office. The safe wasn't the real story anymore. The HOA guards had unknowingly exposed a much bigger operation, and I was finally ready to connect all the pieces. The evidence showed a disturbing pattern across the neighborhood. Properties were being entered without proper authorization. Residents had reported missing documents and valuables. And every trail seemed to lead back to Karen's HOA security team. Then I found the footage that changed everything. One camera had captured the guards moving another resident's safe. They had used the same story about HOA authorization. This wasn't an isolated mistake. It was a pattern. I contacted the residents who had complained before. One homeowner showed me photographs of his missing documents. Another described the same guards entering his property. Suddenly, Karen's story was becoming impossible to defend. The next morning, I walked into the HOA board meeting. Karen expected another angry homeowner she could intimidate. Instead, I placed the evidence folder on the table. Her smile disappeared the moment she recognized the photographs. I asked Karen who had authorized those property entries. She claimed the board had approved everything. Then I showed her the board's actual records. There was no authorization anywhere. Karen tried to blame the security guards. She said they had acted without her knowledge, but the evidence showed she had personally signed several orders. Her own paperwork was now contradicting her story. Then the investigators entered the HOA office. They began collecting records, computer files, and authorization forms. Karen watched as the documents she had relied on were taken as evidence. For the first time, she realized she couldn't control the investigation. By afternoon, the guards were being questioned about their actions. Residents gathered outside the clubhouse, finally demanding answers. Karen stood silently as her security operation collapsed around her. The people she used to intimidate were now witnesses. My safe was back where it belonged, but the investigation was only beginning. Karen had tried to steal evidence from the wrong house. She never realized a homeowner was a detective building the case against her. And now, the entire HOA was about to answer for what they had done.